Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2 of the Rescueality Podcast. Name's Rescue J. Today we're going to be talking about what it's actually like running a rescue, being a part of a rescue. If you might want to volunteer for a rescue, if you just want some more information, we're going to be talking about that today. And I'm going to be telling you about my experience over the last almost decade, and then eventually I definitely want other rescues on. I know dozens if not hundreds of other rescues, and we all have similar experiences, and we've all experienced many different things. So my rescue, we've been around for almost 10 years and have adopted out over 1,000 dogs, and we've had more come through the rescue. We currently have 70 dogs right now. Some of them are going to be staying with us for the rest of their lives. Some are up for adoption. We are down in Mexico, down in Baja California, but this could go for really anywhere in the world. We mostly adopt out in the United States, and we've adopted out all over the U.S., many different states, and our dogs are living their best lives in their new forever home, but it definitely isn't as easy as social media makes it out to be. So, first of all, a rescue. What does a rescue do? A rescue rescues animals from either neglectful situations, medical situations. They were thrown onto the street. We've had dogs thrown inside trash bags and thrown in creeks. We've had a litter of puppies that were thrown away inside of a used pizza box. And there's many different ways an animal could be rescued. We mostly rescue dogs. We've rescued some cats, but this could go for any other rescue that you do. Dogs, cats, rabbits, birds, any other animal. And then within that, there's some rescues that only rescue a certain breed of dog, or a certain kind of bird, or a certain kind of rabbit, or this very specific animal, such as a Chihuahua rescue, or a Pity rescue, or a German Shepherd rescue. And they mostly focus on just that one particular breed. We have rescued everything under the sun. We've had a rescue that could literally fit in the palm of my hands and was weighed by the ounce, up to our biggest was 225-pound Mastiff and everything in between. And what our main goal is just making sure they get a second chance at life, go into their forever home, and we try and rehabilitate to the best of our ability, giving them as good a food as we can, as good a care as we can, vet care, social care. We try and get a lot of these dogs who have sometimes never had a good human interaction, and we try and work with them and get them to a place to where they can be adopted out, get them into a new family where they can go along and live a happy life. So a lot of people ask, I want to get involved. Rescue is what I want to do. It's my dream. That's my life. I personally, from my opinion, would say, if that's what you want to do, I would start as a volunteer first somewhere, be it a rescue, a shelter, even a vet. If you can volunteer there, that'll give you a much better idea of what it's actually like, how it might be different than social media, because social media shows a lot of the good things, but they don't always show a lot of the bad things, as well as rescuers themselves don't really like to showcase the bad things, because sometimes you might think differently, which I understand if you would think differently, seeing something bad versus something good. And I love these good videos, but what I want to do is I want to showcase the not necessarily bad, but definitely the crazy, stressful things that happen as part of a rescue. Part of that could be one of the craziest stories that we've done. My mom and I, we had a litter of puppies that were extremely sick. We rescued them when they were sick. They were thrown out on the side of the road, and they wouldn't eat, they wouldn't drink, and so we every hour on the hour had to give all 5 pups like a vitamin gel, just so they could stay alive. And that was over the course of about 24 hours. So every hour on the hour, it was maybe take a nap. My mom and I would switch off. I would do it 1 hour. She would do 1 hour. And that's crazy in and of itself. But then we had all the other dogs, 40, 50 more dogs, while trying to do that. And then everything else. And then doing the social media. And then trying to adopt out the dogs. And that's what a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of the times, because rescues don't really showcase that, but we had this taking care of the dogs and keeping them alive, which was its own crazy, stressful situation in and of itself, but we still had everything else that we had to do. These dogs, all the other dogs, they don't know these dogs are sick, and they still have to eat. And as a rescue, we still have to adopt out dogs. That's one of our main sources of income as a nonprofit, adopting out dogs through and receiving an adoption fee or through donations. So we still have to do all this, and then we're doing all this, and then if something else pops up, we're doing that, and it could lead to a lot of very stressful, sleepless nights, days, multiple days. And I think that is something that a lot of people get overwhelmed by when they get into the organization. And I would say your best bet is probably volunteering if you want to get into it. And I want to do a whole video just on that, because volunteers are really kind of the backbone of a lot of rescues. Some rescues that have 5, 10, 20, 30 volunteers that really keep them going. We've had many volunteers. We've had a lot of different events where we've had volunteers. We've been a part of events that had 100+ volunteers. But when it comes down to the base of the rescue, it's mostly just my mom and I, with maybe a foster here and a foster there. And we're very grateful for all the people that donate, and we always want our dogs to go to the best homes they possibly can. We're not super picky in terms of checking out an adoption application we receive, and if there's one thing out of place, we're like, nope. We take everything, look over the whole adoption application, and over the years we've become very good at checking them and then talking with the people and finding out kind of exactly what's going on. If they say this but they really mean this, then we're pretty good at making sure the dogs go to good homes. And some rescues, they won't adopt out a dog unless they do a home check. They come and they survey everything, which I can understand, but that gets a little crazy sometimes. I would say those are very good if you have kind of like a special needs dog, or if you have a certain maybe working dog. There's a lot of dogs that are, or I should say a lot of breeds that are a little bit more difficult to adopt out, so you want to make sure they go to maybe a specific home, but that's all on a case-by-case basis. And I usually refer to dogs because those are kind of the biggest rescues, and that's what I do, but this could go for cats and everything else. Always want to make sure they go to the best homes that they possibly can. And we will say no to people, and we've had people get a little upset that, hey, why aren't you adopting out a dog? Well, because you're not going to be home for 10 hours, 5 days a week. That's not good for a puppy. That's not good for any dog, really, but especially this puppy that you're looking to adopt. So we really don't want to cause any, frustration for not being able to adopt out the dog. But sometimes there's just it's not a good situation for you to have any animal, that even a super easy going animal. Unless you can do this, or you're going to work on this, or you're going to, do doggy daycare every day, or you're going to have the cat stay over at a family member, or you're going to have someone come and feed the bunny, or whatever it is, sometimes it's just not a good situation. And so as a rescue organization, there's all of those different components. There's actual rescuing, then there's the rehabilitating, then there's the adopting, and then in between there's the getting the donations to being able to feed the dog, or sometimes there's no donations and you have to buy the food, and then you have to get this for the animal, and you have to do this, and there might be donations, there might not be donations. It's like there's so many different things that a lot of people don't realize. And I'm kind of saying that a lot, but I have been asked so many times, hundreds and hundreds of times, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it's like, yes, but if this, then this, and then if this, then this, and it could cause a whole chain reaction of stuff, and it requires explaining. And that's why I started this, to answer questions. I want to do like a big question per episode. This one being, kind of what's a rescue organization? What's a nonprofit do? And what we do very simply is we rescue the animal, we rehabilitate them to a place to where they can be adopted out, be it socially, medically, and getting them back to a healthy state, and then finding them a good home, and repeat for every animal that comes through our organization. And then there's doing that, then there's doing the trying to get all the supplies that you need, and then all the vet care that you need, and then what if this pops up? So we've had some medical cases just pop up out of nowhere. I shouldn't say very, infrequently, distemper and parvo are two of the worst illnesses that puppies get, especially down here in Mexico, but it could be anywhere. And that could completely change everything, because if you're at a ranch and you bring just one distemper puppy or parvo puppy to the ranch, and you maybe not even know, you just bring a puppy, that could infect the entire ranch. And then you can't just get rid of it. You can't just take the puppy away or take the animal away and then everything's all good. You have to sanitize, clean, quarantine, and it could take days, weeks, months. We've known rescues where their entire place got just overrun by an illness, and they had to move. They couldn't be there anymore because every single animal that they brought either got sick or something happened to where they couldn't run their rescue organization out of that spot. But what it really comes down to is rescuing the animal and finding them a forever home. That's what a rescue organization does. And there's shelters, there's humane societies, then there's rescue sanctuaries or just sanctuaries, or all these different organizations that kind of do similar things but also do different things. So I'd definitely like to do an episode of explaining that. If you have any questions about the difference, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. But I'm definitely proud of what I've accomplished. I know it might seem like there's a lot going on, but I'm proud of what we've accomplished over all these years. And even though it's been absolutely insane, we've had all these dogs that wouldn't have had a second chance at life go to their new forever homes, and now 6, 7, 8 years later, we still get updates, and they're enjoying their best life, which we're very grateful for. We're grateful for everyone that's adopted a dog from us, and we aren't stopping anytime soon. We're still adopting out. So we're very proud of our rescue, my mom and I, and we're going to keep going, and I'm going to keep telling people kind of what it's like. And if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And I think next episode I'm going to kind of talk about the big question a lot of people ask is, I want to run a rescue. I want to start a rescue. Should I start a rescue? What advice can you give? And I definitely have a lot of advice to give. So I think that's going to be next episode, but I'm going to be covering a bunch of stuff, and when I eventually have people on, I'm going to be talking about even more. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And please like, subscribe, share everything, and we'll see you in the next one. And I just have a bunch more videos coming up. Thanks a bunch. Appreciate it.